Hello everyone, my name is Pedro and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a homemade version of the N95 type mask. Our homemade version of the mask is made of 100% polypropylene, the same material used on the actual N95 mask by 3M, at 1 micron and 1/8 of an inch thick. To understand visually micron measurement, which is part of the metric unit system, let's make a size comparison between a grain of table salt, a red blood cell, and a COVID-19 virus. So a grain of table salt measures approximately 40 micron, a red blood cells 5 micron, and the COVID-19 virus measures 0.128 micron. If we use the grain of table salt as a point of reference, we can say after we do the math, the red blood cell is 8 times smaller in size. If we then use the red blood cell, its new physical size, we can also say the COVID-19 is 40 times smaller in size than the red blood cell, which is approximately 320 microns smaller than the grain of table salt on the far left side. That is incredibly small, and if you wonder where in the graphic is the COVID-19, there it is. Now, some articles I found on the internet says 3M's N95 mask can filter particles down to 0.3 microns small, which leave us sort of hanging there. Therefore, no matter what materials you choose to make your mask with, make sure it doesn't have any large visible gaps, spaces, or holes. Okay, so let's run some tests to see if this actually works before we make a mask. For this test, we will be using the thinnest mist of paint that we're able to find. In this case, I compared two different spray paints, and I'm going to go with Fusion, matte black. And the reason is, I think it's obvious. You can see how thin Fusion is. This is perfect for our test. I have prepared and mounted on a few cardstock papers 5 samples, which includes the following: the N95 with all its filter layers, each N95's individual filter layer separately, that's for the exterior layer, middle layer, and inner layer, and our homemade version, which is 1 layer, but at 1/8 of an inch thick. I later sprayed all of this, making sure I was very generous with paint, in particular with our homemade sample. Alright, the results were good with both the N95 and the homemade version of our mask. Um, However, the N95's individual layer didn't do that well. Let's check those results. So the N95 with all its layers did well, as you see here in the picture. When I place the sample against a bright light window, you see all the layers combined have a solid coverage. The exterior layer of the N95 mask didn't do well. There were small particles of paint that made their way through the filter onto the paper, as you can see here at the bottom right portion of the paper. When I place this layer against a bright light window, you can actually see all the fibers and how thin this layer is. The middle layer did well. No particles of paint made onto the paper. And when I hold the sample against the light, the material looked quite dense for being as thin as a sheet of paper as well. The inner layer of the N95 mask is the one that had the most particles of paint to have reached the paper, as you can see here at the bottom right. When I place this layer against a bright light window, you can actually see the gaps between the fibers. Lastly, the homemade version sample, which did well. No particles of paint have made their way into the paper. And when we hold it against the light, you can appreciate the density and thickness of the material. So now that we know this actually works, we have a peace of mind. Let's go ahead and make an N95 type mask. Let's begin by downloading the stencil from the website you see in the description of this video. To complete the mask, you're going to need the following materials: Now that we have all our materials, including the 100% polypropylene felt and the stencil sheet of paper which is downloaded, let's go ahead and put this thing together. Finally, we have our mask. Now that we have it, let's go over a few tips for proper maintenance. So this part is quite simple. The materials we've used was originally designed for water filters application. Its interlaced fibers traps lots of water, so you will need to help it out by removing excessive amount of water with clean paper towels. By doing so, your mask will dry overnight. Alright, so we come to the end of this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have, please share it and make a mask for you, make a mask for your loved ones, make a mask for the first responders. And that's all. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.